What is up, ladies, gentlemen, anyone who wants to listen? My name is Brad LaPlante. Griff Sutton here with me. What is up on a Wednesday? It's always a Wednesday when we do these, Griff. What am I thinking?
Yes. Well, we were just talking about, in 2 months when we live stream our reactions to the draft, and you'll either see me break down in tears if the Lions take a quarterback at any point, or you'll see me pretty elated because Brad Holmes made the right moves. I think he'll make the right moves, by the way. That's just put that on the record, but
yeah,
we'll see.
That will be fun. Maybe I can swing a couple graphics on screen and figure that out.
Can we get a ticker? Can we just get
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how good that'll be, but we don't have a producer, so
no, we don't.
We don't have the money for a producer.
We don't. We could just have a on the clock graphic and just put a logo, whatever.
Yeah. That'd be a good idea.
Anyway, Brad, so pretty quiet sports week. Nothing major happened.
Actually,
right?
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, except for the fact that Rob Manfred just said "fuck you" to everyone who enjoys baseball. So if you want to watch baseball and I've been saying I wanted to walk around this week all week with a big fat shirt that said "I told you so," because I knew it. I was like, come on. What after I heard, it was after I was in my car on the way home from work one day, and I was listening to Valeni on 97.1 talk about the MLB lockout, the MLB season, not the lockout, but the future lockout, right? This was back in August. And he was talking about arbitration and how it's terrible for the sport, why the Tigers won't
service
be
time manipulation.
Well, exactly. The reason why Torkelson and Riley Green are not at the MLB level yet, stuff like that. Adley Rutschman should be in the MLB right now, and he's not. Don't understand that, Baltimore. Your payroll's I could afford your payroll. Anyway, yeah. So it's fun. It's good stuff. But I've been here all along. I don't like following the baseball lockout. It's not something that many people enjoy. Casual fans aren't gonna care about terms and conditions and stuff like that. So I just don't care. But from the beginning, from day one, the MLB and the MLBPA were so far apart on issues, and some people are like, why did the owners take so damn long to negotiate terms and conditions? And I'm like, I don't know if that would have mattered. I don't think that, I seriously don't think that earlier conversation talk would have changed anything. So, just because they're so far apart on issues. So far apart, nothing to consider yourselves with. But that's all I got this for the baseball lockout.
So
and I will get into this. We'll get into it, all right? But, Griff, I have a story for you that is even bigger, actually, than baseball. Can I talk to you about it?
Okay, sure.
It is.
Don't take us too far off the rails.
No. This is a good story. So I asked you before we started. I asked you if you knew who Art Briles is. All right, and you don't know what's going on with Art Briles. This is amazing. All right.
I don't know who Art Briles is, Brad.
So Art Briles was the head coach for Baylor from 2008 to 2015. During his time at Baylor, he went 65-37, gave Baylor their first 2 Big 12 championships, and put Baylor in the New Year's Six and gave them a BCS Bowl berth, first in program history. However, Briles had not coached in college since May of 2016, when he was suspended and fired for 8 seasons following an independent investigation into Baylor's handling of sexual assault allegations. All right. Their AD and their university president also resigned. This is like a big deal, huge deal, obviously. Not as big as the Larry Nassar stuff, whatever, but it's a big fucking deal. Anyway, this week, or last week, I should say, Grambling State hired Art Briles as offensive coordinator. Okay? 4 days later, he resigned.
Okay.
He said, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to become a part of your coaching staff at Grambling State University. Unfortunately, I feel that my continued presence will be a distraction to you and your team, which is the last thing that I want. I have the utmost respect for the university and your players." Now, it's crazy, right? Like, it's like, why would you hire this man? That doesn't make any sense to me, right? But then there's something even like more interesting about this, in that the Hugh Jackson Foundation, which, like, obviously Hugh Jackson is the head coach at Grambling Grambling State, right? So there was a point where someone else, I think it was Dan Murphy, for ESPN, who had, instead of like attacking this situation like head on for what everyone else is going on, Dan Murphy took this route. The Hugh Jackson Foundation collected $158,000 in 2019, which is the most recent tax info available. It paid out $115,000. Okay, of that 158, paid out 115 to its sole employee, which is Hugh Jackson, and spent another $15,000 on travel and $4,000 in grants. All right. Anyway, Hugh Jackson.
All right, I gotta ask.
So,
what is the point here?
So, no, I'm getting to it. We are getting there. All right. So, the Hugh Jackson Foundation replied to this tweet and said, "What you failed to report is where that money came from. Hugh Jackson was the quote-unquote largest donor, and he personally donated over 75% of the funds." And then it goes into first person and says, "I personally donated from my salary back into the organization." That's tax fraud. So everyone's going on and on and on about how Hugh Jackson has admitted to tax fraud on Twitter. I think that story is bigger than.
And is this the same Hugh Jackson that was the coach of the
Browns? Yes, the same
Okay.
Hugh Jackson that coached the Browns.
Oh, I did see something about the Hugh Jackson Foundation.
You could not have missed it.
Yeah,
It is so hilarious. There's also a sidebar. I'm not going to talk much about this, but there's a sidebar about how in the WNBA, the New York Liberty were what's it called? They were I think was fined. Like, I don't have the story pulled up, and I'm just thinking about this.
No, it's $500,000.
Yeah, for chartering planes for the team.
Mm-hmm. Because that's against the CBA.
And it's stupid.
And they were threatening, like, even worse things, like permanent.
Oh, yeah, they were going to shut down the franchise. They were going to shut it down.
Yeah.
I told that to my fiance, and she goes, "That's a bit extreme." I was like, "Yeah, pretty much." So, it's actually been a pretty busy week outside of baseball. But Griff, that's where you come in. I just want to paint the picture for everyone real quick, okay? Now on Sunday, and I know that we're going to get into the owners real quick, but on Sunday, the MLB painted this picture in everyone's mind about how they were so close to a deal. And like so close to a deal. And then the narrative changed Monday morning when they had said that they had a change of tone. The MLBPA had a change of tone. Did not intend on strengthening negotiations or whatever. MLB's final deal wasn't close to what the MLBPA's was. Yeah, Griff, how does that make you feel?
All right, I mean, so here's where I'm at, right? So there's a lot. I'm not going to bore people with all the numbers. You follow Jeff Passan on Twitter and there's probably articles that will break it all down for you. But a large list of things that the union and the owners were arguing over was basically player pay and the way players can get paid, right? And I think that second part is very important because part of the things they were arguing for was, raising the increasing the salary luxury tax. Basically, they don't have a hard cap in baseball for the salary cap, but they do have a luxury tax similar to the NBA. And there was also talk about expanding playoffs, and the reason the owners wanted that is expanding the playoffs increases revenue because there's more playoff games, which generate more money. And then a big thing was with arbitration and how that process works, right? So these were all like I said, a lot of the nitty gritty, but what it comes down to is these owners are squeezing, and what they have been doing is squeezing every bit of value out of players, especially lower end or younger players who have not gotten to their first real free agency. They're doing everything they can to keep their pay low and manipulate their service time to keep them on the team. What that means is what we would see this year. If there was a baseball season this year, and there could be, but right now there isn't. But if the Tigers, if they play this year, we have Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson, and you know what would happen? The Tigers would find a way to play both of those guys in such a way that they could get an extra year of service time at the end of their contracts through arbitration, which would then allow the Tigers to keep them for an extra year before those two guys can actually get free agent money and be paid what they are realistically, what they're worth. So they're not getting that big payday till they're 27, maybe 28. And it hurts. This hurts the game for like several reasons. One of them being, hey, I'm a Tiger fan and I want to go watch. Like, they are one of the few reasons I am to be like excited about watching Tiger baseball this year. Is because they're the young guys. I want to see how they do. There's, we'll see what the hype is about.
Well, and
now
by
I don't
that,
know what games they might actually be playing on. Like, that hurts you, the fan, and that is something that owners and management are doing to the players.
Well, and by that same token too, like when you go and watch like the Red Wings, right? Like what is one of the greatest things about watching this team is that half the fucking players that are actually making a difference 19, 20 years old. Like, they're rookies, you know what I mean? Like, you don't. And the NHL has their issues too, but.
Well, and there's certain things for teams to keep players under control for an extra year, but it's like 1 year. It's not egregious because the way the NHL contracts are constructed, there's not an arbitration process. You have your rookie deal and then you're a free agent.
No,
but
the only
MLB,
problem
you have arbitration.
No, the only problem with the NHL is that they set it up so if you play in any North American league that's not the NHL, those leagues must feed into the NHL, and they make you sign a contract so you can't go overseas. You can't do all these other things. It's a separate process to kind of keep them, and that's its own thing. It's a separate conversation, but
Right.
you know, but still, like, you're not seeing what you see in baseball. Like, it's more egregious, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the thing is, and then like what that leads to when you don't let players become free agents until later in life, they need to. They're like, well, fuck, I need to make money on on my baseball skill and get the most I can out of it.
Exactly.
And that's how you end up with deals like Miguel Cabrera. Right? Now, granted, they gave him a long deal, and they shouldn't have given him such a long-term deal, but it was the only way he was going to stay and to keep him in his prime.
Right. Well, and you're going to get a lot of players who are going to want to be overpaid because they feel like they've been underpaid their whole time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because, like...
But then it leads to a Miguel Cabrera situation where you're paying a guy so much money for being, let's be honest, pretty mediocre and can't even play defense.
Like, the dude belongs in a retirement community, not an MLB team.
All right. Meanwhile, he alone, he in one baseball year makes more money from the Tigers' payroll than the entirety of the Cleveland Guardians team makes through their payroll. One player on the Tigers makes more than the entire Cleveland Guardians team. That's just that should never happen. Like, if that happened in any other sport, it's unfathomable.
No, yeah.
So,
because they get the whole like rookie contract thing. What they should, I don't understand why they don't just make it like 3 years and then you get free agency.
Well, yeah, do what every other league does. Like, 4 or 5 year rookie deal is sometimes you do a 5 year.
Yeah, you could up the just make it 4 years, no arbitration.
Yeah, and then do a fifth. Like, if you're a first round pick, you could do a 5th year on that, because a lot of first round draft picks in like the NFL, you get there's a 5th year option that teams can pick up, which I don't hate either, because first round pick, a lot of capital, you want to.
But also, like, at the same time, like, draft picks don't matter in the MLB. You know what I mean? Well, like, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, not nearly as much.
Like, so, like Rhys Hoskins Rhys Hoskins dynamite for the Phillies. Dude was picked, I think he was like 5th round or something like that. Same thing, Skubal was, I mean, he was 9th round.
Late round.
You got a lot of people, like a lot of guys like Brandon Nimmo for the Mets. I think he was like a 9th or 10th round pick or something like that. I can't remember. But I mean, Akil Baddoo I think was a 1st round pick if my memory serves me correctly. The Twins just didn't want him, and then he was a Rule 5 draft pick. But yeah, it's
to bring this back to another thing, to what I was talking about, is this every step of this process is the owners, and the way that the system is set up works against the players. Guys needing to wait longer to actually get their first bit of free agent money and get paid what the market dictates they're worth in terms of their skill level. The teams are refusing to actually put effort in, or there's the handful that don't, because they realize, with all the shared revenue, I can just pay my team the lowest amount and still make a ton of money every year, and it doesn't matter. It's what the Pirates are doing. It's what teams like Miami are doing, the Miami Marlins, and the Oakland A's. Shit. I mean, like, we just keep seeing this habit of low payroll because they just don't want to spend, because they realize, hey, I can make money without spending, even if no one comes to the games because the team is so bad. I make enough through the shared revenue from the TV deals and things like that I don't need to worry about it. And this kind of brings it to I think this is the bigger point of all of this, and this is why I will take the players' side 99 times out of 99, even though they're not perfect in the negotiations. No one is. The owners of teams, I very rarely ever take their side, because they have all the power, right? And in this instance, I think the biggest thing with owning a sports team, right, to own one alone, right, you either inherited it from your extremely rich family, or you already are extremely rich, right? To buy an NFL team, you're probably already a billionaire. To buy an MLB team, probably already either a hundreds of millionaire or a billionaire, because owning a sports team is hard to do. It's a status thing. It's like
Right.
being a member of a prestigious whatever. It's like saying you went to Harvard, except it's an even more exclusive club because you need to be so rich to get there. But if you're owning a professional sports team, especially a baseball team, money cannot be the only thing that matters. You cannot run it purely as I'm doing this. How can I run this to be the most efficient money-making machine possible? Because sports isn't like that. Like, this is a different business than just yes, you're selling me a good/service, depending on how you specify it. But like you're doing this in theory because you want to, like you want to be part of a winning culture. You don't need the money. So I'm not saying your team needs to be in the red and that it's bleeding money from your personal account. But like you don't need to be cutting the corners and cutting costs and maximizing profits at every level here, especially when your customer is the public, is the taxpayer, who is the one who buys the tickets to the games, is the one who paid for the stadiums with their tax revenues,
Right.
is the one who that team probably has a bunch of tax write-offs. So again, we're financing them to exist in our tax dollars, which is everyone is doing, regardless of where you care or not, and then actually being the paying customer. So owners need to be beholden to the public more than in anything else. They owe the public more because they are reliant on us to be their customers and also reliant on us to supplement their existence. And all of this just comes down to like the owners owe it to the fans to compromise here. Give the players at least a good chunk of what they want and make a game happen. Is it really going to kill you if you make $5 million less than you did? If you only make 30, if you only make X amount as opposed to, 70 as opposed to 75, like, come on.
Guess how many baseball owners, baseball team owners are billionaires?
I'm gonna get all of them. Like,
no, it's not all of them. It's not all of them. It's most of them. Yeah.
I would say. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, like, I feel like NFL, it's all of them. But I don't know about MLB.
In baseball, it's 24.
Out of 30.
Out of 30, yeah. The only teams that don't have billionaire owners is Rays owner Stuart Sternberg. He's worth 0.8 billion. I guess 800 million. Richard Monfort for the Rockies is worth 0.7. Atanasio for the Brewers 0.7. Ken Kendrick for the Diamondbacks 0.6. Bruce Sherman for the Marlins 0.5. And Castellini for the Reds is the poorest quote unquote MLB owner at 0.4 billion. But yeah, and then it goes all the way up to Steve Cohen for the Mets, who's worth 16. So 16 billion. So, yeah.
And I understand, like,
it's a shit ton of money.
Those are the poorer owners, but like, you're paying out of your own payroll.
But like, that's still a shit ton of money. That is more money than I will ever be worth.
400 million. Yeah, he's worth 400 million. Like, it's not a small number. And they're not even, like, they're not the mean. Like, they're not the average. They're not even the median. Like, the median's probably in the billions of the average MLB owner's worth. So, and the team generates enough money every year to be able to, if the Reds wanted to, they could go out and they could have a 200 million salary $200 million in salary a year, and they would still make money, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah. And
I just-
and the MLB has built itself a system, which is great system, by the way. I'm being sarcastic fully. The MLB has built itself a system where it is more profitable to suck than it is not to suck, like hands down.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean, like you could just be
Because
bad
of
and
the shared
still make money. And because that's what pisses me off the most is that Rob Manfred was out here going like, oh, like the last 5 seasons have been, tough from a revenue standpoint, and I'm like, bruh, in 2019, Forbes reported that the MLB saw its highest revenue earnings in history. Like, it has never made more money than it is making now, and teams are not spending
trying to use the COVID card.
But even then, like, it's still like the baseball's making a shit ton of money, and
they're the second. Yeah, they are the second richest sports league in the world, behind only the NFL.
Right.
They're richer than the NBA.
Right, and that's crazy to me. Crazy. I would never have guessed that, to be honest. I guess it makes sense. But that's the thing, like Rob Manfred only cares about money and only cares about the owners. And I mean that's the thing too. You've been seeing this for like the better half of the last decade, right? Where you're seeing players get sick and tired of this shit. Because, again, like you mentioned, you're going to see stuff where, like, Miguel Cabrera, for example, is getting a 10-year contract when he's 32 or whatever, however old he was. Albert Pujols was hitting, like, 210 in his final season. And then, like, Francisco Lindor, like, Mets fans are like, why'd he sign that big contract? It's like, because he fucking deserves it. He's been an all-star perennially for the last, like, years in the Guardians. So
yeah, I'll tell you this, Brad. So, yeah, the MLB made $10.37 billion in 2019, and then made, I'm going to say only, because this is a very significant drop in revenue.
Yeah.
They only made $3.66 billion in 2020, but
Perfect.
Again, they only played about half the season, so they only got half the TV deals. I'm looking to see if I can find their revenue from 2020.
I will say though, I don't know how this is gonna play out because I knew in August that there would be no opening day. Like, I was very, very, like, you could not convince me otherwise that there was gonna be an opening day. Whereas if there's a season, I think that sponsors or you're going to see, like, sponsors. You're going to see local regional TV, like Bally Sports or who else is there? There's Marquee for the Cubs, SNY, NBC. Like, you're going to see all these guys. They're going to come in and be like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like, we want, you know what I mean? Like, what's Bally going to do if they can't have the Tigers in June?
Yeah, and that's where, like, this May 15th date is going to be interesting. 'Cause that's the weird... That's what the owners have kind of imposed, is like, it seems
that's kind of the shift in, like, where there's regional sports kind of focus on baseball, right?
Well, that, and it's also, I think that's when the TV, I don't know what, I want to say it's April is when the TV deals are supposed to, technically, those checks would come in. But
yeah,
they're not going to, right?
Right. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I am, because here's the thing. I think at this point, the players, if they don't have a deal done, or they're playing baseball by, if the season is not started in April, I think the players are just going to go nuclear. I think they're going to just say, what they'll do is, like, the guys like Scherzer and the guys who have gotten paid handsomely,
Max Scherzer has also been kind of the front on this. He's representing the players in a way, like in a big way.
But I think a big thing they'll do is they're going to pool money to help, some of the guys who don't make as much. They're going to pool money, try to help pay for some things for them. And because guys like Trout and them have the money, they got paid.
Right.
And then from there, sorry, just yawning. Totally lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? So they'll pool money, and they're just basically say, guys, we're not playing this year. We gotta hurt them. And let me tell you, if there is no baseball season this year, and the players hold out, it'll be effective. We've never had a player strike, and this isn't a strike, by the way. The players are locked out. There is a difference there. But if the players, if the strike goes on and the players basically say, we're not playing this year, you're going to eat these costs. You tried to hurt us financially and make us suffer. Well, we're turning the tables on you. We're going to deal with it. We'll survive. And now you're going to see if you can. So,
right.
And I think at this point, if there's not a deal done where they're ready to play baseball by the end of April, they're going to do it. Because I think if you start an MLB season in June, who gives a shit? And I like baseball, and I'll watch it. But who the fuck? Summer starting, vacations are happening, people are going out on a nightly basis. Like, part of the summer is you go down to the ballpark. Sure, some people would be interested. But that whole early spring is when you captivate audiences because
right.
The NBA is wrapping up. The NHL is wrapping up. The only thing, the draft just finished for football. But other than that, summer training camp isn't happening for a couple months. So that doesn't happen. You have the sole attention of everyone. So if you don't start playing until June or even July, no. NFL training camp's already starting back up. People are, again, enjoying the summer. It's the best part of the summer is that July time frame. You've lost. So I think at that point, I think if they don't start at some point this spring, I don't think any season happens at all.
Well, and also there's what I was talking to you about too, where if, the starting pitching ordeal, pitchers are pitching.
Pitchers are going to be.
Oh, they're going to be pissed. I was surprised that as many players, or pitchers, I should say, opted into the COVID year, 2020. I did not expect players like Garrett Cole or Jacob deGrom or all these big names. I did not anticipate them. These guys that don't need to prove themselves. I did not anticipate them opting in. Marcus Stroman, even for one, he opted out, and that was understandable. I get it. I think he was coming off a surgery or something like that, bet on himself and accepted the tender or the qualifying offer by the Mets, and then bet on himself and got signed by the Cubs. I guess I was just surprised because Cole made 10, 12 starts. That's a third of what he usually would make. And again, you go from pitching 200 innings every single season and ramping down all the way down to 110 or something like that. That's gotta affect. And you're gonna see, I think, if there's no full season played, even if, and right now, if they get their shit together and say they start at the earliest possible date, which is May, right? That is the latest they can start, because I think that if you go any farther than that, you're gonna start getting into starting pitching is gonna be fucked for years to come. And I don't know what these pitchers are gonna do. What are they gonna? Not every pitcher is gonna get in some league or something, some professional league, and they're not gonna play scrap games or whatever just for fun. I don't know. You just can't expect that to happen. So it's interesting. I just don't know what pitchers are gonna do. The interesting thing too is that Max Scherzer just got paid by the Mets. So, not paid, but he's 38. What are the Mets gonna do with him? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just stupid stuff like that. It's hilarious, I guess, but in a way, not really. I guess I've just been seeing this for so long, and I could see it coming from a mile away. And
we were talking about how we probably wouldn't have baseball next year. We were talking about this last summer.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm not surprised by this at all. Like when I was watching the Braves win the World Series, I was under the impression that this would be the last baseball game I watch for a while. The next baseball game that I plan on going to is when the Lansing Lugnuts have their home opener at Jackson Field. And then, I'm serious. And then I'm going to probably cover Michigan State baseball. Actually, that's probably the first one I'm going to is Michigan State. But then Michigan State plays Lansing as like a cross-town like type thing that they do. It's pretty fun. Anyone want to come out? It's a great time. But yeah, so
Man,
it's just
I've watched so much bad MSU hockey. I'm just gonna watch.
yeah, dude.
I actually don't know if they have a bad team or not.
It's hard, right? Like all the teams that are good are usually in the South and like SEC teams, so it's not like good baseball, but still like it's baseball. It's a good time at the ballpark. Like there's stuff to do, you know. Like does anyone watch the Tigers because they like the Tigers? You know, I don't know. I mean, yes, but no. I don't know. Anyway, you know, going to it's America's pastime, right? Like going to a baseball game is just a nice experience. Just like going to a hockey game is fun, stuff like that. No matter how good the team is.
Right.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if college like baseball starts getting like an increase in viewership along with minor league baseball will be interesting because the minor leagues are not affected at all. Like the only players who are quote unquote like crossing a picket line would be the players who are on minor league rosters but are on the MLB team's 40-man roster and haven't been called up to the big leagues yet. Like Detroit, Spencer Torkelson. I think Adley Rutschman is also on the 40-man for Baltimore. Wander Franco obviously would not be playing because he's on the Rays. And he just got called up. You know, I'm just trying to think of the biggest like names that are minor leaguers. But so like I don't know if these teams are gonna get like, you know, bigger, more views, you know. But Riley Green might not be on the Tigers 40-man now that I think about it. So you might be able to catch him in AAA. Toledo.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Well, no, him and Torque technically aren't on the 40-man, right?
Torkelson might be. He's a little bit more along than I think Green is. I could be wrong though.
But my point is, if they weren't on the 40-man before the lockouts, then they're eligible to stay.
They're eligible to stay on the they're eligible to play. Well, technically anyone can play in the minor leagues, like as long as they're on the roster. Okay. But like it's not advised against because the guys that are on the 40-man are technically part of the MLB team.
Right.
So Torkelson might not be. I could be wrong. Usually they add like the best minor leaguers to the 40-man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, we'll see if we get a season this year. My optimism for it is very low at this point. The deal did not get done. I think it'll either be the players are going to crack and, you know, give in to the demands that they didn't want, but, you know, guys were suffering. Or it's gonna just be no baseball this season. So
I just want to correct myself real quick. Yes. So Torkelson is not on the Tigers 40-man roster. He is on the Mud Hens roster. Same with Riley Green. Who will be in Toledo. So if you want to go see Torkelson and Green play for Detroit, you can go watch them in Toledo. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Cool, Griff. Let's go to a game. Let's do it right now.
What game do you want to go to?
Toledo Mud Hens. Watch some torque action.
If he's
Get
playing,
on.
yeah,
Let's get on
maybe.
that.
I wouldn't mind it. I like baseball. And Toledo's
fun
only an
time.
hour, so.
And it's a shit city. So sorry to anyone listening who's from Toledo.
Good zoo.
Have you
Good zoo,
seen Griff? Have you seen AP Bio, the show?
Yes.
Oh my God, great show! I just started watching it.
Glenn Howerton. Yep.
Dude
Good old Dennis.
hates Toledo, and I'm just here for it. That's all I gotta say. So
Brad, you want to talk about the Tigers?
I do
What
actually.
I have no idea what this is about. You just said I have a Tigers topic.
I do. It's in the thing. It's in the thing. So Griff, who of the Tigers do you think deserves to have his number retired next?
Dude, I don't fucking know.
Come on. You're not gonna give me a name.
Dude, I can't name a Tiger that doesn't already have their number retired or hasn't, or they, I knew them in the like 06 era.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm thinking about. All right. So here's
I
the.
don't think there's anyone else, like Verlander.
Okay, but like I'll give you a list. All right. These are the guys on the Tigers roster who have had their numbers retired. All right. Charlie Gehringer, all right, retired in 1983, number 2. Alan Trammell's number 3 in 2018. Hank Greenberg's number 5 in 1983.
Yep.
Al Kaline, number 6 in 1980. George Sparky Anderson, number 11 in 2011. Hal Neuhauser. In number 16 in 1997. Willie Horton's number 23 in 2000. Jack Morris, number 47 in 2018. And Jackie Robinson's number 42, retired in all of baseball.
That's the only number retired in all of baseball.
Right.
Fun fact. And probably should be the only number ever to be retired by all of baseball. Unless someone does something equivalent to Robinson. But I don't know if there ever will be something like that.
So
anyway,
I was thinking, all right, so you got the Tigers like 2006 roster, all right?
I don't think there's anyone on that team that should have their number retired.
So here's my thing. The only player that you could theoretically argue is Pudge Rodriguez, but he didn't really like his stuff. His prominence in baseball, like, wasn't with Detroit. It was with Texas, right? Like he made a name for himself. Like Texas should retire his number, and if they haven't already. But like Detroit doesn't really have a right. Like he didn't lead Detroit to a World Series. None of that.
No cigar.
So close. Yeah, you're right. Close, but no cigar. Fun fact, that game, or I should say that season, St. Louis lost to the New York Mets in the NLCS. And if the Mets had beaten the Cardinals, who, by the way, the Mets were a better team then. No cigar, though. It would have been Mets-Tigers in the World Series. So, fun fact.
Yeah. So,
but anyway.
I think, so if I'm looking at, like, 06, I don't see anyone. And then from 07 to, 2010, they weren't really doing much. And then, obviously, that 2012 to 2015 window is when they really had the impact players, the all-stars. So there's 2 players I think are the only ones like there's a few Hall of Famers on their team. Like Scherzer will probably be a Famer.
Right.
Verlander will definitely be a Hall of Famer. Cabrera will definitely be a Hall of Famer. And there's other guys mixed in there too. Like Ian Kinsler.
I could see the Tigers retiring Verlander's number like 20 or 30 years from now.
That's what I was gonna say. Was probably Verlander or Miggy. I don't know who would go first, but they're in the same vein. The biggest issue with Miggy is recency. But I think once he retires and all of these bad years kind of fade away from people's memory and people remember all the crazy shit he did, like winning a Triple Crown. I think it would be between Verlander and Cabrera, and I would probably lean more Verlander because he was the ace here for almost a decade,
Right.
before we traded them. And yeah,
And that's hard to do.
Here, but like when Verlander goes into the Hall of Fame, he goes in a Tiger. Like unlike the Matthew Stafford talk where we talked like if he goes in the Hall of Fame, if Stafford goes in, he would go in as a Ram more so than a Lion. Even though Verlander didn't win, even though Verlander won a series with the Astros, his career and why it was a Hall of Fame career was because of what he did here.
Oh yeah, he could have never if Verlander was never traded, he would have still been a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. Whereas Matthew Stafford, if he needed to go to the Rams because he was, it's like a pitcher doesn't pitch every single game, whereas quarterback, the game lives and breathes through you. So it's a different situation. But yeah, Verlander was 100% a Hall of Famer if he never got traded and retired a Tiger, and he'll probably go into the Hall a Tiger. Like I think he's going to be more well remembered for being a Tiger because of all the amazing moments he did as a Tiger. His no hitters. There's a great video about an inning he had against like the Twins, I think. Or maybe it was Cleveland.
It was the Guardians. I remember that inning. Bailey of Foolish Baseball has a video on it. Everyone should go look it up. It's a great video, but it explains it explains
it was the 8th inning too, right?
It was the 8th inning of a game in 2012, if my memory serves me correct. And Verlander had an 11-pitch inning.
Game in August.
It was an 11-pitch inning, and I remember if I could remember correctly, I could remember the pitch count too. But there were several fastballs in that inning that were 100 miles per hour or more, and I'm not even talking like 100. Like it was 102. And some people asked me about that. Are you sure?
Inning.
In the 8th inning, he's hitting 102. There were. The only pitcher to do that at that time consistently was Verlander, and he had done it 35 or more times that season. So, it is crazy. He was in his prime. He was in his prime, and he was the best pitcher that I've ever seen in his prime. And that goes, and I know, and I love Jacob deGrom. But I would say that I would take Verlander in his prime over DeGrom any day.
That's fair. So yeah, I think if I had to lean one way, I'm gonna say Verlander probably is the next one because he's the only one I could I look at those names like Al Kaline, right?
Yeah.
And I think of someone who is so good they can have their number retired. Yeah, it's what was he 21? Verlander?
He was 21. 21 number? It's 35.
Yeah, I thought he was. Why did I think who's 21? I don't know why I thought he was 21. I know Cabrera is 24.
So
baseball, I'm the worst with baseball jersey numbers.
So I want to tell you what Joel Reuter had to say on BleacherReport.com. All right. Mm-hmm. He says the Tigers should retire catcher Lance Parrish, who had the number 13. He was on the 1984 World Series team, led the team in home runs that year and in RBI. During his 10 seasons in Detroit, he was a 6-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger winner, and had 212 home runs and a 114 OPS plus, and was one of baseball's best catchers.
Sure.
Sure.
I didn't watch this man play. I can't say one way or another.
No, I'm 26. No thanks.
I'm going off of the next player the number I would retire is based entirely on.
You know who I would?
So who?
You know who I would choose? And this, I love this one. Number 10. Do you know who had number 10?
I don't. No.
Jim Leyland.
The player or the manager?
No, the manager. Jim Leyland. Come on. How?
He didn't win a World Series.
Oh my God.
You can't have your number retired as a manager and not win a World Series.
I guess. He was so close. He was
Jim
so
Leyland
close.
was part of the reason that team is that in his fucking bullpen, and how he managed that fucking bullpen is a big reason why that team didn't either make it to a World Series that year or didn't win it all in the first place.
Oh
I do not like Jim Leyland. I will just I know a lot of people do. I was never a fan of him.
You know, it's funny too because like people talk, and I've talked to you a lot about this video I saw on Vox about luck and skill, and I've been very obsessed with this data recently. But it's actually pretty interesting because the 2006 Cardinals are sort of a case study in that, like, you don't have to have a good team to win a World Series. Like, you could just walk in with like mediocre pitching and I don't know. God, the Cardinals did it. They did it. They should have never won that year, and somehow they did. And I mean, the Tigers also. I don't know that the Tigers were a good team in 2006, but they were definitely better than the Giants in 2012 when they lost as well. That rotation, it is horrible that rotation never won a World Series. Especially considering since Anibal Sanchez, Scherzer, Verlander, like, they all have World Series rings. Rick Porcello has a World Series ring.
Yeah,
and they've all won the Cy Young.
Crazy.
I think Rick Porcello has one with the Red Sox, right? A few years ago.
So, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
like that.
Everyone from the 2014 rotation, including Drew Smiley, has won.
Oh, Drew Smiley. What a guy. What a guy. Didn't Drew Smiley play for the Mets?
Maybe. I don't know. All right, Brad. Let's talk a little bit of college basketball before we get out of here for the week. We're gonna do, by the way, people, we're gonna do a big college football. Well, it's kind of college football. A big draft show next week. We're going to talk some mock drafts and stuff like that. But wanted to talk to baseball because that is kind of the hot topic.
Basketball.
And
basketball,
we're going
right?
to talk a little bit of I'm saying we did talk about baseball. We're going to talk a little college basketball. It is March. Tourney's right around the corner. And, some interesting things are happening in the world of college basketball. Even though I don't follow it that closely, I'll be honest with you.
Griff. So Michigan and Michigan State played yesterday at the Chrysler Center. Are you surprised that Michigan State lost?
A little bit, but that's
you are
because
I'm not. I'm not surprised.
I severely. What's the word? I just don't have a lot of faith in Michigan athletics lately, and don't get me wrong. Martelli is a very good coach. The current interim coach for the Wolverines, while Juwan is serving his suspension. But I guess what it really comes down to is I think home field advantage mattered a lot in both games of the Michigan State rivalry this season. MSU spanked Michigan at the Breslin Center, and Michigan spanked MSU in Ann Arbor at the Chrysler Center. So at Chrysler Arena. So I think home field advantage had a lot to do with it. I think Michigan State came out not ready to play. I think Michigan did come out ready to play. They had a little bit more of a fire underneath them. I think Michigan overperformed their talent, and I think MSU severely underperformed what they could have done.
I also don't know what happened to them, because when I was watching Michigan State earlier this season, they weren't bad. There was a lot of inconsistencies, a lot, right? For example, Michigan State I remember the first game I got credentialed for was against High Point for the Christmas break, right? It was like November 26th or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, so they're playing High Point. High Point's not a good team, but Michigan State sort of like looked a little off at some points, right? And like,
Yeah.
and that, I guess that just bothered me like a little bit, right? And then there were a couple games in there where they're just not like, you know, like every player isn't clicking. They're not performing as a unit. I think is a big issue. I don't really know where they're going wrong, to be honest. And I'm not saying that like, because if you want to hear my opinion on the Michigan State Michigan game, Michigan State has like 1,000 times more talent than Michigan does, but Michigan's game plan was 100% better, and Michigan State's wasn't. Like,
scheme over team, baby, scheme over
and
team.
right, like, well, because okay, case and point. All right, Michigan State, and I saw someone comment on this, doesn't like understand what they're doing. Like, they can't coach mid game, right? Like, they can't coach themselves in the middle. And Izzo also did not help his case. There were a lot of like Michigan was on a 14-0 run at one point, and that was kind of the point. That was the end for me. Like, the game, it was literally 5 minutes in. Michigan was on a 14-0 run, and I was like, this is game over. Not a chance. Michigan State pulled it in a little bit, but Izzo was like, I think it was like after 8-0 or after 10-0, I'm like, dude, call a timeout. Didn't call a timeout until Michigan had put up 14. But Michigan, getting back to what I was going to say, Michigan went to Dickinson again and again and again and again. And it's like, that's so selfless. That's so nice. Imagine if we did that, you know? Like, right, because like Dickinson's over there, like out here, he's dude 7'1". The only time during that entire game that Michigan State blocked him was when Julius Marble went up to block him, and it was a good block. But that was it. That was it. Like, Michigan State could not block him. And there was another point where Michigan, in the first half, I think it was like 9 minutes to go. Michigan had already committed 6 fouls. And, you know, in basketball, if you get 6 fouls, you get the other team gets in the bonus. And at that point, I was like, why isn't Michigan State just driving to the basket and forcing themselves to get free throws? Because that makes the most sense to climb back into this game, and they weren't doing that at all. They were just settling for, like, bad shots. You get Fox or FS1 on TV showing the huddle where Izzo's, like, giving a press speech to his team, and he's like, dude, that's a bad shot. Don't take that shot. And I'm like, yeah, we can all see that. We're all watching that. It's like settling for mid-range jumpers for no reason. It was a terrible performance. I don't know if I've ever seen Michigan State play worse, if I'm gonna be honest. But that's all I'm gonna say. They couldn't play defense either, and that was kind of case in point. They were, I think, at one point they had brought Michigan's lead down to 11. Which was, or something like that. It was 11 or 13. And that was the closest that Michigan State ever got back. Because the lead was like 22. And again, it was a wild lead. But then I turned it, this was actually when I was watching the Red Wings game. Because when I turned the Red Wings game on my laptop just for the overtime, right? And then I go back to the TV, and all of a sudden Michigan State had pulled back in the game. I'm like, what the hell happened? After Seider or was it Raymond? Whoever scored after Raymond scored the game winner. I looked back at the TV. I'm like, wow, they're catching back up. And then all of a sudden they I don't know if it's just me watching the game that gives them bad luck or what, but that was Michigan had, I think it was a 65% chance to win the game according to ESPN, so I'm not like surprised that Michigan won. I'm surprised that Michigan State won by such a big margin.
I think neither of these teams are making it to the second weekend of the tourney. That's really all that matters. They're both, Yeah, we
They're
just beat
both
up on each
better
other, we
than
don't
the
do
other
anything
teams,
further,
right?
and that sucks. Yeah.
Right.
So, you want to talk about? You got Wisconsin listed here.
So yeah,
again, you're the college basketball guy, not me.
Well, and Wisconsin and Iowa have been kind of like this whole surprise thing with the Big Ten. Big Ten tournaments, like I think it's what, like in a week or something like that. It starts March 9th. My pick to win the Big Ten tournament, and it still is, it hasn't changed, is Illinois. I think that if Illinois has its like pieces together, they could win the Big Ten tournament. I will say this though, and I want to talk real quick about Wisconsin. What the fuck is their uniform? I did not realize this till now, but their uniform is the ugliest I've ever seen.
Who?
Wisconsin.
Oh.
100%. Have you not seen these Wisconsin uniforms? You gotta look them up. Look them up right now. They look like garbage. Like a 6th grader design. Like they had like a contest and they were like, which 3rd grader? By the way, I'm regressing. Which 3rd grader can design the best college basketball uniform?
Is it these ones with the white UW on them?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they got the collar or whatever where it's like a stripe or something.
Yeah.
Like it looks like some shitty thing I'd put in like NBA Live 06, you know?
These are apparently the by the players uniform.
What does that mean?
It looks like they also, I don't know, it's in quotes. I assume the players helped design these. It also looks like they have a more standard uniform, which just says Wisconsin, but this must be one of their alternates.
Well, and Michigan bringing back those throwback uniforms what was wrong with that? I don't know where that was.
You just don't like asymmetry in design.
Is that when they aren't symmetrical?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There you go. It's just dumb.
Asymmetry, just like asexual means the lack of.
I don't know. Well, I guess it's not even that though. Like I'm also like not really like a fan. I'm just picky. I'm just not a fan of like Michigan State was wearing green yesterday, for example. Michigan was wearing blue. Like
Michigan was wearing yellow.
Were they?
Yes.
Okay. Well, even then,
jerseys were yellow.
Well, anyway, even then, I still think that like if one team wears like one color, I think that the other team should wear white. You know what I mean?
I guess people are weirdly like I'm shocked at how much people get so mad about uniforms and like.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
I'm okay with having 2 colored uniforms, right? Like 2 uniforms that are non-white /non. Well, really, it's non-white's the only issue because most teams have just a straight white uniform. But I'm okay with it. But like that's just me, you know.
Well, Katie was saying something about something interesting when we were watching Michigan State, and they were wearing their black uniforms, which kind of look good, right? They're not even a black; they're like a dark, like very like dark green. Or they might be black. I don't know. But there's also a problem with that too, though. Sometimes where like if people with like sight disabilities, they have a hard time distinguishing.
I hate that's me with fucking any court that has like weird patterns on it.
Right. Like it's hard for the people at home to distinguish. Like Team Canada for hockey has these some uniforms where they're like all black and then the Canada logo is all black with a like outline that's red, but it's a very thin red. And then the number on the back is like it's also like it's darker than the color of the uniform or lighter or something like that, but it's not white, so it's impossible to distinguish who the players are, who the team is. Like if you have like color blindness, for example, fuck that, what are you gonna do? You know, like that is impossible to watch. So like for people who have hard sight, like that is something like that uniforms, it's not, I guess it's just not like it doesn't make any sense. And there are people that were talking about that. I don't know. People do get pissed about uniforms though. We know firsthand, like Detroit and the Tigers. Like, look it up in MLB The Show. There is a uniform that the Tigers wore in 1995, and the MLB The Show has it by surprise. But it's a blue uniform with the tiger like logo, right? But it's not the just the D. It's the one with the tiger crawling through the D, and then they have numbers on the front. And they are like the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And because Detroit made that one mistake, now there are so many Detroit Tigers fans who are so averse to any uniform to come out. So
Yeah.
Well, and
Yep.
like but I like, I mean, what teams like Boston is doing. Like, they're a traditional team who has, like, you know, they have like a blue and a red uniform. They wear the blue ones on the road, I believe, and the white and the red ones at home. And then they alternate. Sometimes they wear their I think they wear their red ones more at home than they wear their white ones. But the Tigers should do something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not asking for like orange, but maybe like a blue uniform or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I do wish the Tigers had more a cooler thing, but I think baseball is just, you know, old heads being old heads.
Well, you know, I'm not 80, so I couldn't tell you.
All right, Brad. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with college basketball, or do you just want?
Oh, I always want to talk about college basketball, Griff. You know me. I am a big fan.
I mean, the turn. When does the actual tourney start?
It's like a couple weeks right after the conference.
Yeah, because it's weird because it's March Madness, but it runs at the end of March into April.
Right.
So that March 18th.
Yeah, I think that's when the round of 64 is, and then it goes into the round of 32. So
we got 2 weeks, at which point, you know, obviously, so next week we're going to talk NFL draft, and then the week after we'll start really getting into the tourney, maybe do some bracket stuff. It'll be
fun. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to kick your ass in the bracket. I can't wait.
I'm very sure, Brad. I'm very sure. Do you have anything else you want to say to people before we get the hell out of here?
No, that's it.
All right. Everyone, thanks again so much for listening to Take This. We do appreciate you listening each and every week to our bullshit. Obviously, be smart with your bets. Be safe. Be kind to others. And always, most importantly, never forget, practice and make your free throws. See ya.